Welcome to my channel, where we discuss everything and all things politics, economy, and development in Nigeria and around the world. In this video, we are answering a question which has to do with the issue of 1966 coup. Following the book publication of former military president Ibrahim Badamosi Babangida's new book, A Journey in Service, where he confirmed that the 1966 coup was not an Igbo coup, as being the story peddled for a long time, for over 5 decades. People had asked, why is it that no activity took place in Eastern region and no top Eastern region leader was killed in the 1966 coup? And they are talking about why is it that Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe was not killed? Why is it that Dr. Okpara or Akano Ibiam was not killed in that coup? That's what we're going to answer, and to confirm that indeed that 1966 coup was not an Igbo coup, and also to show why there was no killing of Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe or Akano Ibiam or Dr. Okpara in that unfortunate coup that took place in 1966. We're going to clear that out in this video because somebody asked me when I put out a video confirming that IBB was right. 1966 coup couldn't have been termed as an Igbo coup ab initio. He said, okay, what happened? That there were no killings of Eastern leaders by the coup plotters. We are going to clear that out in this video. Thank you and welcome. And if you are new to my channel and you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you'll be among the first to know. God bless you. Now, first of all, let us establish why it is foolish to even consider that 1966 coup was an Igbo coup. We have to start it by looking at the state of the Igbo nation in 1966. In 1966, by 1966, the Igbo as an ethnic nationality was a dominant force already in Nigeria. The Igbo had no reasonable Igbo person should have thought of doing a coup to dominate Nigeria, as being alleged, or it was alleged. This is because already the Igbos were in a dominant position, attracting a lot of envy in various parts of the country, including among the political leaders in Nigeria. For example, by 1966, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe was the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Senator Nwaife Orizu was the President of the Senate. General Ibrahim was the Chief of Army Staff. In terms of the economy and other things, the Igbos were in a dominant position. You have people like Sir Louis Odumegwu taking over as president of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. He was like the Rockefeller of Nigeria in his era. The Igbos were dominant in the Nigeria Railway Corporation. They were the people that were in charge even before the British left, so their dominance continued. In the Federal Civil Service, the Igbos were dominant. This is because they had more educated people than the North, that they had an alliance to form government after independence. in the military, the Igbos were dominant in the top ranking, middle ranking of the military. They were attracting envy from various sections and being accused of dominating the country already. Akintola, who was the premier of Western region, was already complaining about the Igbos, that he said that University of Ibadan is in Yoruba land, University of Lagos is in Yoruba land. Why is it that the Igbos are dominating it? He was famously quoted to have said that, and I made reference to it in my book, The Igbo Phenomenon. So he was already complaining about the Igbo dominance. Why was that? Because the vice chancellor, the first Nigerian vice chancellor of University of Ibadan, Professor Kennedy Dike, was an Igbo man. Okay, the first person to be given a PhD by University of Ibadan, Dr. Adiela Fibo, was an Igbo man. The first vice chancellor of University of Lagos was an Igbo person. The first vice chancellor of University of Lagos. So all this were playing out at a time that Igbos were pretty on top of the situation, on top of things. So there was basically no need to think of doing a coup for Igbo to dominate when already they were in a position. People are already feeling threatened about their dominance of Nigeria at that time. So there was basically no basis to do an Igbo coup. Only a foolish Igbo person can do a coup and say he want to dominate. And if you look at the book by Obasanjo on Nzogwu, who was the leader of that coup, Nzogwu was never somebody who cares about Igbo interest. From the analysis of Nzogwu that was made by Olusegun Obasanjo in his book Nzogwu, you go and read it up. So, but why then did they have to do a coup in 1966? The people that did that coup, which had Igbos, Yorubas, and others among them, were people who did that coup basically to eliminate the enemies of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, who was in prison at that time. People must get that clear. That coup was made, was nurtured, and it was instigated basically to deal with the enemies of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, and then to bring him out of prison to become the president of Nigeria. Let it be clear. That was the mission of that coup. IBB made reference to that in his book, A Journey in Service. He said that the coup plotters wanted to bring out Awo to come and be president. And he was looking at it. Is it not ironic that Awo, who is not known to be the lover of the Igbos, was the person that they want to put in charge? In other words, indicating that these people were just merely idealistic young men who think that the country was going astray and that the political class were leading the country to the abyss. So they needed to correct it. And those who were culprits that they want to deal with were those perceived to be enemies of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, the people that sent him to prison. And that is what we are going to look at, those people. And when we look at all those people, we find out that there were no Eastern politicians among those who sent Awolowo to prison. Let it be clear. There was no Eastern politician that was in the enemy list of Awolowo in the eyes of the military people that carried out that coup. Now, how did we go to know those who are the enemies of Awolowo that was eliminated in that coup? First of all, let us start by letting you know that by the 1960s, Awolowo was the major opposition leader in Nigeria. Now, because he was a major opposition leader in Nigeria, he was antagonistic to the government. Okay, so the government of Tafawa Balewa made allegations of treasonable felony against him. There was allegation of treasonable felony against Chief Obafemi Awolowo. One, he was accused of planning to overthrow the federal government. That was the allegation made against him. He was accused of planning to overthrow the federal government. It was specifically that he was planning to overthrow the Prime Minister, Sir Tafawa Balewa, that he wanted to overthrow Tafawa Balewa's government. Now, the government of Tafawa Balewa claimed that he, Awo, and his associate planned a violent revolution in Nigeria. Number two reason that Awo get into trouble was that there was political rivalry between Awolowo within his own party, the Action Group. The Action Group was facing internal political crisis within the party. There was a tussle between Awolowo, who was the leader of the Action Group, and his deputy, Chief S.L. Akintola, who later became the premier of Western Region when Obafemi Awolowo was sent to prison. Now, this crisis between Akintola and Awolowo led to major political crisis in Western Region, which prompted the federal government being run by Tafawa Balewa to intervene in the Western Region. Okay, now that intervention eventually led to the treason trial of 1962 to 1963, in which Awolowo was arrested and charged with the treason. Now, the government of Tafawa Balewa claimed that Awolowo was importing weapons and training a private militia to overthrow the government. Now, after the trial in 1963, Chief Obafemi Awolowo was sentenced to 10 years in prison. So, by 1966, Awolowo has spent 3 years in prison. Okay? Now, Awolowo was the person that they wanted to release to come and be president. I mean, those who planned the coup. Now, what about, it means that Tafawa Balewa is an enemy of Awolowo. He was the one that the coup plotters connived with Akintola to send Awolowo to prison for treason. Akintola himself is known to be one of the people that the North at that time used to disorganize Action Congress or Action Group. They use him to create crisis in the region that was under the control of Awolowo, which eventually led to his imprisonment. Now, Akintola formed an alliance with the Northern People's Congress. Are you getting it? That made him the political enemy of the opposition forces at that time, because Akintola betrayed Awolowo and formed an alliance with the Northern Congress, Northern People's Congress. Now, while Awolowo was in prison in 1965, the Western Region election was rigged. Now, that rigging of that election, in which Akintola's party, the Nigerian National Democratic Party, was declared victorious, sparked violence in Western Region, in what was then known as Operation Waiting. So you now look at the people that were executed in that coup include Tafawa Balewa, the prime minister. He was an enemy of Awolowo. You look at Ahmadu Bello. Ahmadu Bello was like the godfather of Tafawa Balewa, because Ahmadu Bello was the leader of the NPC, Northern People's Congress. So he is a perceived enemy of Awolowo. He was taken out. Take note of that. Now, in another person that was taken out in that coup by the coup plotters is Chief Festus Okotiebo. Chief Festus Okotiebo was the Minister of Finance between 1957 and 1966, and he was notorious for corruption. The military rank at that time knew him. He was famous for his flamboyant lifestyle and for his unashamed display of wealth and all that. So he was already on your face known corrupt person that the young military officers who are idealistic know that they have to take him out to show a lesson. Because if you go and read I recommend you to go and read it's online. Go and read the coup speech of Nzogu. He was particular about corruption, about the 10%ers, about characters like Festus Okotiebo, who have turned governance into a means of making money. Okay, and in fact, if you read my book, the Igbo phenomenon, you see that. No, that's not in Igbo phenomenon. You read my book, The Making of a Fantastically Corrupt Country. I wrote about Okotiebo, how he had even Bible quotations to justify his corrupt acts. So he was notorious for corruption. So he was also close. He was also close to the Northern People's Congress. He was also close to Tafawa Balewa. So they know that he was an enemy of Awolowo. So the coup plotters had to take them out in their own thinking. Like I told you, it was foolish. The 1966 coup was unnecessary. If not for that coup, there wouldn't have been civil war. Nigeria wouldn't have been in this mess that it is today. So they have to take him out. So he was taken out. So if you look at it now, you can see that those that were taken out successfully were those perceived to be against Awolowo. They were those who were one way or the other responsible for sending Awolowo to prison. Now, if you look at it, there was no person of Igbo extraction that had issue with Awolowo. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe had no issue, no problem with Awolowo. Dr. Michael Okpara had no problem with Awolowo. They were not the one that sent him to prison. Neither was Akamebiam. In other words, those that were where the activities need to take place, activities took place there. Those Southeast, the Eastern region leaders that were spared, you are talking about Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, talking about Dr. Okpara. Azikiwe was the one that was living in Lagos. Okpara was in the East and all that. So if you look at it, you now discover that those people serve no purpose taking them out because they were not seen as being responsible for the fate of Awolowo. Now look at it this way. As Babangida pointed out, as Obasanjo and others had also pointed out in their book about the quest of these coup plotters to put in Awolowo to be the president of Nigeria. You can see that there was no need to take out anybody from the East, because they were not the enemies of Awolowo. They were not the ones that sent him to prison. And to confirm what had been said, that Awolowo was to be brought out to run the country, to show also that there was no Igbo coup, and to show also that Igbos had no hand in sending Awolowo to prison. When the 1966 coup failed, okay, and there was a counter coup that brought in General Gowon to become the president of Nigeria, the head of state of Nigeria. What did Gowon do? He knew that those that did that coup was to go and bring in Awolowo to become president of Nigeria. What did Gowon do? Gowon, tapping into that sentiment, brought out Awolowo. He brought out Awolowo. What did he do with Awolowo? He made him the Minister of Finance. Awolowo was literally running the country. And what informed Gowon to bring in Awolowo from prison to come and run the country, literally, and coordinate the finances of the country during the war? Why? Because already Gowon was aware that those who planned the coup of 1966 wanted him to run the country. Awolowo literally ran this country for 3 years under Yakubu Gowon. Awolowo was more educated than Yakubu Gowon. He was a lawyer. He was more savvy. He knew things more than ignorant Gowon at that time. So he ran this country for 3 years, literally confirming that those who did the coup wanted Awolowo to run the country. Gowon brought him out to run the country during the Civil War. That can show you clearly that the coup was against the enemies of Awolowo. You can therefore now understand why there was, even if there were intention to kill people in the southeast or in the eastern region, like Azikiwe, and Dr. Okpara and Dr. Kanigam and all that, there was basically no need for any activity against these people, because the main genesis of the coup was to bring out Awolowo to run this country. And Awolowo's enemies, who were perceived to be the people that connived to send him to prison under allegation of treason, those were the people that the coup took out. Nobody, no Southeast leader or no Eastern leader was part of that conspiracy to take Awolowo to prison. You can now understand why there was no killing of Southeast leaders by the coup plotters. And even if there were any attempt to kill, to go against them, it didn't work out. But basically, there was no need to take out Eastern leaders, because they were not responsible for Awolowo going to prison. It was those who took Awolowo out that they were after, and they executed that effectively. I hope that answers the question. Why is it that there was no, if you said it was not an Igbo coup, why didn't they kill Eastern leaders? And I have also given you the reason why Okotebo was also executed. I have given you the reason why Akintola was executed, because he was at the epicenter of the crisis, of the machination to send Awolowo to prison. And then the role Tafawa Balewa government played in accusing Awolowo of treason and coming up with the allegation and proving it in the court, that eventually they sent him to prison for 10 years. I hope this answers your question. And I hope you share this video widely, so that those who are still arguing, even after the explanation that was given by General Ibrahim Babangida in his book, A Journey in Service, will now be able to calm down. Because despite that book coming out, there are still a few people who are still persisting, say, okay, if it was not an Igbo coup, why is it that no Igbo leader was killed at that time? The reason was because no Igbo leader was against Awolowo. No Igbo leader participated in sending Awolowo to prison. That was very clear. Those that were dealt with were those believed to one way or the other played a role in sending Awolowo to prison. And the essence of that coup was to bring out Awolowo to run this country. And that was what Gowon did after the counter coup. He brought out Awolowo, and Awolowo ran this country for 3 years. You can argue with that. That is a free word, but Awolowo literally ran this country for 3 years, with Gowon being there as head of state, as a symbolic leader. That's my interpretation. Whatever is your view on this, let's hear from you at the comment section. Thank you for watching this video. And if you are new to my channel, you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you'll be among the first to know. God bless you. And please don't forget to like this video, because when you like it, God will rank it high and recommend it for more people. Thank you, and God bless you and yours.